book review, in which one of the tokens wrote about politics and contemporary culture. Not a single Black American, Native American, Hispanic, or Asian American was mentioned. Floyd had shown this mettle when a movement to make San Francisco state more diverse was met by strong armed resistance. The late Al Young and I published his novel, Lay My Body on the Line, about the drive for an inclusive ethnic studies department. He's probably the best Oakland novelist since Jack London. Floyd Salas was the perfect ally in our attempt to build institutions that would support diversity. In keeping with our philosophy of building our own institutions, instead of waiting around to be selected as a token by the establishment, like the dog who showed up every night at the train station to greet his master, not realizing that his master was dead, the late Floyd, Claire Ortalda, and I founded PEN Oakland. We have become known as the blue collar pen by the New York Times, which is appropriate since most of us are working class origin, and often our discussions take the form of a Pier 6 brawl. Ultimately, we have survived these decades intact because none of us has forgotten where we came from. It has been over 25 years since Claire, Floyd, the late Reginald Lockett, and I met at Asmara, an Eritrean restaurant in Oakland, to establish another institution for the purpose of pulling the marginalized literature into the center. The resistance continues as the know-nothing Tea Party mentality sweeps not only politics, but culture. In Arizona, they are raiding schools and removing books by Chicano and Chicana authors from the shelves. In the same state, ethnic studies has been banned. The Tennessee Tea Party wants to ban any reference to slavery in textbooks. We are in for a long twilight struggle, but in the end, our country will be in better shape than the one we found. We will have helped to create not an exclusive city on the hill, but the inclusive rainbow city in the valley. If you have a program, you may have noticed that some of our awards carry the name of the late Josephine Miles, a poet and longtime faculty member of the UC Berkeley English department who died in 1985. She was the first woman to receive tenure at the UC Berkeley English department and the only member of the UC Berkeley faculty who would show up at our multicultural poetry readings. So in her honor, I'm going to read one of her poems, After This, C, that appears in an oral biography, Teaching Poet, edited by Marjorie Larney, and was republished from Lines at Intersection, 1939. After this, C. This is as far as the land goes. After that, this it is C. This is where my father stopped, being no sailor, being no Beowulf, no Orient spice hungry. Here he let horizons come quietly to rest. What he fled is past and over, raftered roof and quilted cover, the known street and the known face, the stale place. This is as far as the land goes. Here we are at bay, facing back on the known street and roof, all flight, spent before our birth in building the new towns, letting these last horizons come quietly to rest. We have a special pressing need. We of this outer border breed. To climb these hills we cannot flee, to swim in the sea. This is as far as the land goes. Here the coast ranges, soft and brown, stand down to hold the ocean. Here the winds are named for saints and blow on leaves, small, young, yellow, few, but bound to be ancestral. Nowhere art so still as here, for horizons or so clear. Whatever we make here, whatever find, we cannot leave behind. Now let's move on to presenting the awards. The first Josephine Miles Award will go to Joan Steiner Lester for her book, Loving Before Loving, A Marriage in Black and White, from the University of Wisconsin Press. And the board member who will be introducing her is Lucille Lang Day, who is the author of 7 full-length poetry collections and 4 chapbooks. Her latest collections is Bird of San Pancho and Other Poems of Place. Blue Light Press 2020. She has also co-edited 2 anthologies, Fire and Rain, Eco Poetry of California and Red Indian Road West, Native American Poetry from California, and published 2 children's books and a memoir, Married at 14, A True Story. A new anthology that she edited, Poetry and Science, Writing Our Way to Discovery, came out in November 2021. The founder and publisher of Scarlet Teenager Books, She Lives in Oakland, Lucille Langday.
Thank you, Tennessee. I have the pleasure of presenting the Josephine Miles Award to Joan Steinow Lester for her memoir, Loving Before Loving, A Marriage in Black and White. Unfortunately, she is unable to join us today because she recently had emergency heart surgery, but I will tell you about her and her book and read a message that she sent to share with you. Lester is an award-winning commentator, columnist, and author of critically acclaimed books, including Mama's Child and Black, White, Other. Her writing has appeared in such publications as USA Today, Los Angeles Times, San Francisco Chronicle, Chicago Tribune, Cosmopolitan, and Huffington Post. That's who she is today. Now I'll give you a little background. Committed to the struggle for civil rights in the late 1950s, Joan Steinow marched and protested as a white ally and young woman coming to terms with her own racism. She fell in love and married a fellow activist, the Black writer Julius Lester, establishing a partnership that was long and multifaceted, but not free of politics of race and gender. As the women's movement dawned, feminism helped Lester find her voice, her pansexuality, and the courage to be herself. Braiding intellectual, personal, and political history, Loving Before Loving tells the story of a writer and activist fighting for love and justice before, during, and after the Supreme Court's 1967 decision striking down bans on interracial marriage in Loving versus Virginia. Lester describes her own shifts in consciousness from an activist climbing police barricades by day and reading and writing late into night to a woman navigating the coming out process in midlife before finding the publishing success she had dreamed of. Speaking candidly about every facet of her life, she illuminates her journey to fulfillment and healing. And in reading her amazing memoir, Loving Before Loving, I was deeply impressed by her commitment to social justice, not only as an idea and as an ideal, but as a way of life. And here is what Joan says about receiving the Josephine Miles Award. I want to say how enormously grateful I am for this award. I admire PEN above all other writers' organizations, and to be acknowledged by a group that has done so much over the years is the biggest honor I have ever had. It's so encouraging for writers to receive this kind of recognition, and I am tremendously grateful. Thank you for everything you do. I love being in the company of such people. And Joan, we love being able to give you this award. And we all wish you swift and full recovery. And now I will introduce Tennessee Reed, who will continue with the Josephine Miles Awards. She is the author of 7 poetry collections, a memoir, and a novel. She has read her work around the continental United States, Alaska, Hawaii, England, the Netherlands, Spain, Germany, Switzerland, Israel, Italy, and Spain. Oh, and Japan. She is the chairperson of PEN Oakland, and the managing editor of Conch magazine. Her 7th poetry collection, Califia Burning, was published in November 2020. She attended an artist residency at the Atlantic Center for the Arts in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, in October 2021.
Thank you, Lucille Lang-Day. The next award will be going to Dr. Chanda Prescod-Weinstein for her book, The Disorder's Cosmos, A Journey into Dark Matter, Spacetimes, and Dreams Deferred, published by Bold Type Books. And our board member Ishmael Reed will be introducing her book. He is the author of novels, plays, poetry, and nonfiction. The University of California at Berkeley's Distinguished Emeritus Awardee for the year 2020. He has received prizes in every category. To commemorate its 50 years in print, in 2022, Scribner's released a new edition of Mumbo Jumbo, cited by Harold Bloom as one of 500 great books of the Western canon. And when Henry Louis Gates Jr. calls among my top 10 books of all time, it includes a new introduction by Reed.
That's
he
enough.
has received, okay.
Tennessee was reading that piece we wrote about the forming of PEN Oakland. And I was thinking, if you live long enough, words you wrote 30 or 40 years ago will punch you in the face. But anyway, I think I would edit that introduction differently. Dr. Chanda Prescod-Weinstein is an assistant professor of physics and astronomy and core faculty in women's and gender studies at the University of New Hampshire. Her research in theoretical physics focuses on cosmology, neutron stars, and dark matter. She additionally does research in Black feminist science, technology, and society studies. Dr. Prescod-Weinstein is also a columnist for New Scientist and Physics World. Nature recognized her as one of 10 people who shaped science in 2020. And Essence magazine has recognized her as one of 15 Black women who are paving the way in STEM and breaking barriers. A co-founder of Particles for Justice, she received the 2017 LGBT Physics Acknowledgement of Excellence Award for her contribution to improving conditions for marginalized people in physics, and in 2021, American Physical Society Edward A. Boucher Award for her contributions to particle cosmology. Her first book, The Disordered Cosmos, A Journey into Dark Matter, Space-Time, and Dreams Deferred, won the 2021 Los Angeles Times Book Prize in Science and Technology category and was named the best book of 2021 by Publishers Weekly, Smithsonian Magazine, and Kirkus. It has been a finalist for multiple awards, including the 2022 PEN EO Wilson Literary Science Writing Award. And The Disordered Cosmos was also longlisted for the OCM Bacchus Prize in Caribbean Literature. Originally from East LA, she divides her time between New Hampshire, Seacoast, and Cambridge, Massachusetts. With the collapse of the Black media, the corporate media, which is 50 years behind the South in terms of diversity, defines Black life. Their view of Black America and Africa hasn't changed in over 100 years. And so their audience prefers their knowledge of Black culture to come from those who entertain them. And when these entertainers mess up, say something stupid, Black leaders are asked to explain or clean up the mess. I saw Reverend Sharpton on Morning Joe explain Kanye West. It looked as if he's the defendant. He had these 5 white, panelists interrogating him like he was on trial. These Black leaders don't have the power to create Black icons. The middle name for Black Americans is crime, Ishmael Crime Reed. Though crime rates are higher in Trump states, the media pointed to Philadelphia and Chicago as the sources of crime. Hakeem Oluse and Dr. Chanda Prescod-Weinstein are astrophysicists who show you Blacks they show that Blacks commit do more than commit crimes. Okay? Luce says that after a lecture, Black kids asked him questions. They weren't aware that such a profession was open to them. I thought that they were supposed to learn this in school. They can learn it from Professor Prescod-Weinstein's book. Each week, Science Magazine carries articles about racism in the field. As a Black woman and queer, she shows the triple whammy that confronts people of her background.
Next will be Lucille Langday, who will be introducing Cheryl Fabio, who in turn will introduce Susana Praver-Perez for her book, Hurricanes, Love Affairs, and Other Disasters, published by Nomadic Press. Unmute yourself.
PEN Oakland board member Cheryl Fabio is the executive director of Sarah Webster Fabio Center for Social Justice, a community-based art organization. As a documentary filmmaker, Fabio produces and directs feature-length stories chronicling the African-American experience. Her current project is on housing insecurity in Alameda County and how it impacts children. Fabio is the mother of 2 and grandmother of 4.
Thank you, Lucy. I'm here to introduce Susana Praver-Perez, who's a bilingual pushcart nominated poet and a recipient of the inaugural San Francisco Foundation Nomadic Press Literary Award. Her work has appeared in numerous journals and anthologies. Susana studied poetry at Naropa Institute's Summer Poetics program, at UC Berkeley's Poetry for the People, and at Berkeley City College, from which she holds a certificate in creative writing. Additionally, she's an alumna of Macondo and Los Dos Brutos. I'm so sorry. I thought I practiced this, but I guess I didn't. Brujas Writers Workshop, and belongs to many writing communities. Susana recently retired from La Clínica de la Raza in Oakland's Fruitvale district, where she worked as a physician assistant for over 40 years. She now focuses her time primarily on writing and can be found working on her next book of poetry in a park overlooking San Francisco Bay, in her hometown of New York, or in San Juan, Puerto Rico, serenaded by Coqui. Published by Nomadic Press in 2021, Hurricanes, Love Affairs, and Other Disasters is Susana's first full-length collection of poetry. Susana?
Thank you, Cheryl. And thank you, PEN Oakland, for this incredible honor. I just couldn't be more thrilled. I'm zooming in from San Juan, Puerto Rico, so you may hear the coquis singing. They're the tree frogs that like to serenade us at night. Anyway, I just wanted to thank PEN Oakland as well as Nomadic Press, who first believed in me and believed in my work. And you know, any award is always nice to receive, right? But this one in particular meant so much to me because of what the Josephine Miles Award is. And my understanding is it is the recognition of underrepresented voices, underrepresented issues, delivered with high level of craft. And to me, that's just, I couldn't think of a better honor. I tend to address sociopolitical issues in my work, but I try to do it through a personal angle. Very much like poetry for the people is very much about that. And I also try to work hard on craft and language because I think that distinguishes words from being statements to being something that works on the artistic level. As we poets say, show, don't tell, right? So I'm going to use the rest of my time just to read you a poem from my collection. And this one is about Puerto Rico. It takes place in 2020. Puerto Rico had been hit by a very bad hurricane in 2017, Hurricane Maria. And it still hadn't recovered and still actually has not recovered. And then a few years later, it was hit by a year-long series of earthquakes. Talk about resistance, talk about resilience. So this is what I wrote. It's called Cartography of the Caribbean, and it's a bit of a history. Once, during the discovery, map makers placed Borinquen at the center of the New World. North America, not fully explored, was mapped like a snake dangling above the island renamed Puerto Rico for riches the Spaniards found. The snake grew voracious teeth. Gold was devoured, or became sugarcane, then petrol, pharmaceuticals, a tax haven, a post-hurricane clearance sale, se vende signs seen everywhere. So it sounds like old news when geologists explain shake after shake of earthquake swarm. The North American plate is pushing hard against the Caribbean, apretando to fault lines jolt. Rocks explode and Boricuas with frayed, singed nerves feel they're about to implode. Houses built on pillared legs fall to their knees. Schools collapse like tents of cards. Thousands of people sleep under the stars, afraid they'll be crushed by their homes. And every blackout shapes half-healed wounds, remembering a year without light, months without water, weeks of waking to tell your daughter, eat your rice, mi amor. No hay nada más. Cascades of disasters reshape inner landscapes like swarms of quakes reshape Puerto Rico's topography. In just 15 days, the city of Ponce sunk 15 feet, slid westward towards the setting sun. And Dia de los Reyes, Guayana awoke to find Punta Ventana shattered, porthole in the stony cliff now jagged row of teeth. And in Guanica, point of entry when the US invaded in 1898, the ocean trembles. On the shore, a woman watches a meteor streak across the sky. Her house is a mound of rubble, but she is still standing, listening to the coquilles singing in the mangroves. Thank you. Thank you, PEN Oakland. I am truly honored.
Thank you. Next will be Robert Mailer Anderson, the next board member, who will introduce Alison Bechdel for her book, The Secret to Superhuman Strength, published by Houghton, Mifflin, and Harcourt. Since Robert Mailer Anderson wasn't able to attend today, I will be introducing him, and there will be a video introduction for Ms. Bechdel. Robert Mailer Anderson is a writer, producer, activist, and ninth-generation Californio, author of the best-selling novel Boonville, played the death of Teddy Ballgame, co-writer, producer of the films Pig Hunt and Windows on the World, which was also a graphic novel, and a contributor to the Anderson Valley Advertiser, among other works and publications. Anderson was appointed to the California Humanities Board in 2020, is a board member of PEN Oakland, and on the advisory board of Los Sensoteles. As a music producer, he has been nominated for 3 Grammy Awards and won 2 NAACP Image Awards. He was named a San Francisco Library Laureate 3 times a member of President Obama's 2012 National Finance Committee, and received the San Francisco Arts Medallion in 2016. Uh-oh. where's this? Unfortunately, we weren't able to hear the introduction. What happened to the sound?
Do you want me to try to play that again?
Try
Let's
if you
see.
can.
I'm afraid that you still can't hear it. Is that the case? Okay,
Very faint.
sorry about that.
Yeah, we tried, right? Okay, so next will again be Lucille Lang-Day, who will introduce Jack Foley, who will introduce Mark Schaefer, who translated the late Gloria Gorvitz's Migrations, Poems 1976 to 2020, and it was published by the New York Review of Books.
PEN Oakland board member Jack Foley has published poetry, criticism, and a 1,300-page history of California poetry, 1940 to 2005. He has presented poetry on radio station KPFA regularly since 1988 and is currently one of the hosts of KPFA's literary programs, Cover to Cover. He has received 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards, one from Marquee Who's Who and one from the Berkeley Poetry Festival. And on June 5th, 2010, it was declared Jack Foley Day in Berkeley. His most recent books are the companion volumes, The Light of Evening, a brief autobiography, and A Backward Glance O'er Traveled Roads, an autobiography of the poet's mind.
Thank you, Lucy. Am I coming across? I think I've
Yes.
unmuted myself. Yes, okay.
You're okay.
All right, terrific. Between August and September 1976, when the poet was 33 years old, Gloria Gerwitz began writing an organic poem, Migraciones, which was first published in 1979 and continued in various versions throughout her life. I mean, it's Migration's poem, not poems, 1976 to 2020. Gorowitz's poem, written over the course of 44 years, is deeply feminine and feminist, sexually frank, and threaded through with religious and spiritual imagery from across the globe. The migrations of the title are manifold. Migration from youth to maturity, from sexual innocence to sexual awakening, from ignorance to self-knowledge, and from self-knowledge into knowledge of the other. They're migrations of one version of the self to another version of the self. Mark Schaefer, who has translated it, has translated poetry, fiction, and essays by authors from across the Spanish-speaking world into English, with a focus on contemporary Mexican poetry and fiction. He has won many awards. His work here emerges not only from his talent as a translator, but from his long and deep friendship, what he calls a long and amazing journey with Gloria Gurvitz. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you, Jack. And thank you, PEN Oakland. And it is an honor to be here with all of you. That Migrations, my translation of Gloria's poem, Migraciones, is being honored and recognized. I wish Gloria were here to receive this honor as well. Gloria and her book-length poem, Migraciones, which evolved, as Jack mentioned, with power and a relentless life force, both of them, over 44 years, were both astonishing. From the beginning of her literary life in the early 1970s to the end in 2020, Gloria ignored all boundaries that attempted or purported to bound or bind or define her. I'm gonna read a brief quote from her from an interview I did with her many years ago. She said, in Mexico City in the 1950s, she was born in 1949, and early 1960s, in my environment, a woman's most important roles in life were to be a wife, to marry a nice Jewish man, and to be a good mother. I was never encouraged to get a degree or a job, to study. Things like that were not to be taken seriously. Of course, that took its toll, but at the same time, since I was not very important, I was allowed to do many, many things that were not permitted to males in that society. I used to spend my afternoons reading, and I'm not just talking about when I was quite young. And sometimes they would say, what does Gloria do? Well, she reads, she writes poems. Nobody understands her poems, but that's what she does. She's a woman. That's how it worked. The forces in that world didn't give you a place. And at the same time, since you weren't given a place, you could choose your own. The world of words meant freedom for me. And I think she claimed the place of being outside the boundaries as a place that had no boundaries. She was Jewish and Mexican. She wrote her poetry in Spanish, but it included Yiddish and Hebrew and Aramaic and Portuguese and English and implications and memories of Russian and other languages. And at one point she mentioned that she didn't put any of them in italics because for her, it was what the language of the poem. There wasn't like Spanish and then the languages in italics. She refused to follow the rules. She wrote one poem over 44 years. And when I was somewhat convinced that it was pretty much over, which you never could really trust with Gloria because this was a living poem, a living project. In her 70s, she radically transformed this poem that she had been working on at that point for 40 years, taking out almost all the punctuation, all the section dividers. It had been a growing poem of up to 7 sections. and almost all the capital letters, which she decided had always been, all those things had been ways of domesticating what always was the poem for her, for readers and for publishers. And at the end, she decided the poem was requiring all of those dikes, in the sense of barriers, of dams, to be removed so that the poem could flow. I'm just going to read a short part from the beginning of from the middle of the poem, and first in Spanish, a line or two. This is from a scene in the marketplace of Oaxaca, of her memory. Los ángeles de mentiras con sus alas de mentiras, los náufragos del pulque encallándose en el vértigo, y los que pasan los días tomándose su mezcal y no saben si es sábado o apenas comienza la semana, los pirados volándose como papalotes, los enamorados en estado de gracia, los iluminados por el Espíritu Santo, los que ven que te aqueja, mirándote el iris de los ojos, and más y más y más. So I'll read a little bit of this in English. Again, from this marketplace scene from Oaxaca, of her memory as a child. Make-believe angels with make-believe wings, pulque castaways foundering in dizziness, and those who sip mezcal day in and day out and don't know if it's Saturday or if the week's just starting. Crackpots flying high as kites, lovers in a state of grace, those illuminated by the Holy Spirit, those who can see what ails you by looking at your iris, those who can see your future by studying your palm, the seers of the tarot, and those who see without seeing, and those who do spiritual cleanses and who cast spells. And a little bit later in this passage, heat eroding in dreams, and the dreams shattering as if made of glass, the cries of children playing marbles, the cries of children playing soccer, the hardcore gamblers playing with their lives, death, which is nothing but the other side of the deck, and cockfights, spurs slashing to the death. Place your bets, gentlemen, slap those greenbacks down, let the money flow, let the blood flow, let the tequila flow. Don't chicken out on me now, don't get cold feet on me now, don't duck and run now, lay your cold cash down, there's no place for fear here. Remember, no pain, no gain. Remember, life is just a game. Remember, if not now, when? Remember, we're all here on borrowed time. Step right up, gentlemen, step right up, because we're all going to die. Thank you. And thank you for Gloria.
I just received a note saying what was happening with the sound to Jack's video. So I was wondering if you guys would be okay with us trying again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for your patience. Hopefully this time I've got it. Can you see the image of him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Hello, I'm Robert Mailer Anderson, PEN Oakland board member, and it is my pleasure to give a 2022 Josephine Miles Award to Alison Bechdel for her outstanding graphic novel, The Secret to Superhuman Strength, a fantastic memoir of the author's complicated relationship with exercise, athletic style, sexuality, culture, fitness fads, and philosophy over the obstacle course of a 50-year search for self and enlightenment. Running, hiking, biking, skiing, climbing, yoga, martial arts, meditation, reading, thinking, drinking, drawing, writing, fighting, falling down, and falling in love. It is an unflinching, evolving look in her life's gym mirror as she searches for a sound body and sound mind. And with her wonderfully expressive line and flow of panels, The Secret to Superhuman Strength is a genius-level narrative of a memoir. It was also incredibly inspirational to me to see how she conveyed so many brilliant ideas, observations, and personal feelings in this medium. It is also my honor to accept this award on behalf of Alison Bechdel, who apologized for not being able to attend or record a message in time for this award ceremony, but wrote me that it was a great honor to be recognized by PEN Oakland. and that she was deeply grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark Schaefer, who identified my error.
Okay, we are now at the last Josephine Miles Award, and it's going to go to Talib Kweli for his book, Vibrate Higher, from Farrar, Straus, and Giroux. Talib Kweli is one of the world's most talented and accomplished hip hop artists, whether working with Mos Def as one of Black Star, partnering with the producer High Tech for Reflection Eternal, releasing landmark solo material, or collaborating with Pharrell Williams, Just Blaze, or Madlib. Kweli commands attention by delivering top-tier lyricism, crafting captivating stories, and showing the ability to rhyme over virtually any type of instrumental. In 2011, Kweli founded Jaboti Media, a record label and a platform for independent thinkers and doers. And in 2019, he launched a weekly podcast, People's Parties with Talib Kweli. He unfortunately wasn't able to attend, but he says, his publisher, says, unfortunately, Talib Kweli was not able to join us today, but he would like to share his sincere thanks for this honor and his admiration for PEN Oakland and his commitment to freedom of expression and social justice. So this now concludes the Josephine Miles Awards.
There's one more. We
This one
skipped
there
C.A. Conrad.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Sometimes I get in my own way. So Ma Shen Win will introduce C.A. Conrad.
I'm supposed to introduce Ma first.
Okay.
Okay.
As I said, I get in my own way.
Okay. I'm going to introduce PEN Oakland board member Ma Shine Win. Her poetry chapbooks are Ruins of a Glittering Palace, which was published by SPA Commonwealth Projects, and Score and Bone from Nomadic Press. Invisible Gifts Poems was published by Manic D Press in 2018. Wynn is the first poet laureate of El Cerrito, California, 2016 to 2018. Her full-length poetry collection, Storage Unit for the Spirit House, was published by Omnidon in 2021. She often collaborates with visual artists, musicians, and other writers, and was a spring 2021 ARC Poetry Fellow at UC Berkeley. And I really wanted everyone to hear about her before she introduces C.A. Conrad.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucy. Well, it is such an honor to present the Josephine Miles Award to C.A. Conrad for their poetry collection, Amanda Paradise, Resurrect Extinct Vibration. This brilliant and resonant book of somatic poetry and short essays was published by Wave Books in 2021. I'd like to share a short quote from a review by D.S. Waldman, published in the Adroit Journal. Amanda Paradise is a book, a space, wherein the loss of loved ones and the destruction of entire ecosystems braid themselves unto a single grief, a single historical moment C.A. Conrad leads us through, helps us reckon with. The most important lesson this book taught me, says C.A. Conrad, is that survival depends on falling in love with the world as it is, not as it was. C.A. Conrad has been working with the ancient technologies of poetry and ritual since 1975. The Book of Frank is now available in 9 different languages. Other titles include While Standing in Line for Death, Eco-Deviance, Somatic for the Future Wilderness, and A Beautiful Marsupial Afternoon, New Somatics. They received a Creative Capital Grant, a Pew Fellowship, a Lambda Literary Award, and a Believer Magazine Book Award. With Robert Dewhurst and Joshua Beckman, they co-edited Supplication, Selected Poems of John Wieners. And they teach at Columbia University in New York City and Sandberg Art Institute in Amsterdam, and are the recipient of the 2022 Ruth Lilly Award for Poetry. Let's welcome C.A. Conrad. Congratulations, C.A.
Oh, thank you so much. It's an extraordinary honor to receive this award. I come from factory workers, and I just wanted to say for a minute in honor of all those factory workers I come from. I ran away as a teenager in the 80s, first of all, because I was queer and I wasn't very welcome anymore after I was outed. And I landed in Philadelphia in the heart of the beginning of the AIDS epidemic, where I wound up losing like half of everybody I knew and loved. But the thing is, I went there to be a poet, and I knew that I couldn't do it where I grew up. Now, here's the thing. When my family goes to work in the factory, so the thing is, in 2005 is when this story really starts with the rituals. I started making friends with all these new poets in town who were in a creative writing MFA, and their relationship with the lives they were leading and the poems they were reading were connected in a way that mine were not. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it comes from our backgrounds. Their families are doctors and lawyers, engineers. When my family goes to work in the factory, they become extensions of the machine for 10 to 12 hours a day. In order to survive that job, they need to shut the present off, and their minds live in the past and the future. And when I speak with them, I hear that they're depressed about the past, anxious about the future. When I realized that as a child, I had to learn this coping mechanism, I knew I needed a new relationship with time. And that's where these rituals come from. So I wanted to read the first poem to this new book, Amanda Paradise. And it looks like this. Golden in the morning, crane our necks. In a past life, I was a little fish who cleaned the shells of turtles. A dream helped me remember their deep voice of thanks. Many nights I heard sharks waiting for the tide to draw me near. When the calendar runs out, it feels lucky another awaits. All I have ever wanted was to forge the English language into a spear and drive it into my heart. Between leaping and being shoved, no lonelier place to put my faith for the swinging motion inside the dance we share. Don the extraordinary suit for this ordinary day. Take our time studying trees to imagine the nests we would build if we were birds. I ask all you talented people spending many creative hours perfecting killer drones, guns, and bombs to please know we are waiting for you on the other side of art in the no-kill zone. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, my apologies for the error. So now this officially concludes the Josephine Miles Awards. It is now time to present the Adelle Foley Award, the second annual Reginald Martin Award for Excellence in Criticism, the Gary Webb Anti-Censorship Award, and the Reginald Lockett Lifetime Achievement Award. There will be two of those. So the first, what was the question?
Jack Foley will now present the Adelle Foley Award to Rusty Morrison.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucy. The Adelle Foley Award is given to a work or person who has done much to improve the relations between people in American society. That's how it's billed. Rusty Morrison is an award-winning poet, publisher, editor, teacher. She promotes the awareness of poetry in every possible way and continues to advertise a wide range of events through her extensive mailing list. Many people remember her as an unusually effective and innovative teacher. She and her late husband, Ken Keegan, co-founded Omnidawn Publishing in 2001. The press has a considerable range of fine authors, many of them local, and continually encourages the young. Rusty contracted hepatitis C in her 20s, but like most people diagnosed with this disease, she did not experience symptoms for several years. Since then, a focus on issues relating to disability has developed as an area of interest in her writing. Her work has been anthologized in Beauty is a Verb, the new poetry of disability. Throughout her life, beyond her writing, she has constantly and graciously encouraged community in the Bay Area, and through this has done much to improve the relations between people in American society. Congratulations, Rusty. But I think you're muted.
Am I unmuted now?
Yeah.
Finally got it. Tech wizard, I am not, but I have community. Thank you, Jack Foley. Oh my gosh. That you would choose to honor my work, to serve the writing and reading community, whom I can touch with my work from Omnidawn. This award, named for Adele, reminds me that we find allies in order to do our best work. Allies who are honest with us and who help us intuit the ways forward, even in the darkest times. I know that Adele was gifted in doing that for Jack and for everyone who knew her. She is here in my heart this afternoon, and she is in everyone's hearts who call for her help in hard times. She knew, and I always try to remember, that when I give to others, I am gifted by that experience, and my life is easier to live, and my hope for the future can grow. I feel so lucky that for these years, I've been a co-publisher of Omnidawn. I've been able to publish authors who range in races, genders, ages, and whose words give me the strength to keep standing and to keep walking and to keep looking for sources of sustenance, even in the worst times. I believe that this award, which I'm so honored to accept, I accept not only for myself, but I'm also being awarded, and I want to give it to Omnidawn's authors. Each book that we publish gives me more insight into new ways to walk forward into the next moment and the one after that. I also accept this award for those of us who work collaboratively at Omnidawn, all of us, not just me. I'm thinking of Laura Joachimson, Omnidawn's co-publisher now that we've lost Ken, and I'm so grateful to have her in my heart and in the press with us, with me. And to Rob Hendricks, who does amazing work for us in post-publishing, post-publication, and everything he does. And to Jennifer Metzger, who helps put out Rusty Forwards and so many other things, which I'll say more about in a moment. And the wonderful volunteers. We could not do this work without those wonderful people who come to us. Right now, we have Sophia Carr and Jordan McKenzie, which I don't say Sophia's name first, but only because her last name begins with a C, and everything should be alpha by last name and not by priority. Because of all of them, we can also do our small part for the essential work of outreach to the needs of our community. And I want to speak for a moment about our Rusty Forwards National Digest, in which we share important information, which all of it comes to me from into my inbox for anyone and everyone who sends to me. We share news about other presses' work. We share news about local community projects and support for calls to good causes. And we hope that more and more of you offer to accept our newsletter. And I believe it's so important also that we give free contest entries to writers in need. We have slots at the beginning of every contest for them, and they simply need to apply. We don't ask them to prove they're in need. I couldn't prove it, but I don't want to ask someone to have to put themselves on the line in that way. We trust you, as I want to be trusted by all of you. So I accept this award for all of us at Omnidon for the services we try to perform to support our larger community's practical needs. And I accept it for all the authors whom we are so lucky to publish, and grateful that they have chosen Omnidon to be their home, their press home. Since it is the end of the year and Omnidon is in the midst of our end of the year funding drive, I can't help but share with you that your support would help us keep doing the work that we do. And I think it's important that as co-publisher with Laura, I ask. So I'm asking, if you can, please go to find the link at www.omnidon.com, easy to remember. It's under Get Involved. And there you can also sign up to receive Rusty Forwards and all of our newsletters, which I hope will serve you, and receiving them serves us. And I just want to say that no gift is too small, and every large gift is great, but every even tiny gift tells us that you trust us in the work we do and means so much to us. And I'll close by thanking all of you at PEN. Your work is essential, and that I am enriched by it. And I know that everyone whom you touch is enriched by it too. Thank you.
Jack Foley, you're up again. You'll be introducing Judy Grahn, who's getting.
Right. I also want to thank Rusty for eloquently mentioning Adele. That was very kind. The second annual Reginald C. Martin Award for Excellence in Criticism is given to poet Judy Grahn for her book, Eruptions of Inanna, Justice, Gender, and Erotic Power, an extraordinary title. There are very few voices of their generation in the world, but Judy Grahn certainly qualifies for that title, not only because of her great poem, A Woman is Talking to Death, but because of the wealth of books that followed that poem, and for her constant meditation on the state of this nation from the point of view of a brilliant, deeply open, and openly lesbian woman. The well-known myth of King Gilgamesh and his quest to overthrow Inanna and gain for himself the secret of eternal life recounts an important story about two very close male friends with a rejecting eye toward the sacred feminine. From this story, the roots of three worldviews about life and death, all of which we grapple with today, emerge. These three worldviews are the paradise myth, reincarnation, and secularism. Tracing eruptions of Inanna throughout history invites new ways for readers to reimagine our world today. Congratulations, Judy. Glad to get you this award.
Jack, thank you so much. It's an incredible honor to receive this award. It's just beyond words for me. And I need to begin by thanking the inestimably valuable support network that enables my writing, as I don't do it by myself. Beginning with my partner, spouse of 36 years, Chris Brandenberger, and my friends and colleagues, Diane Jeanette and Deborah Gren. And a shout out to Martha Shelley and Will Roscoe for helping with certain details. And thank you to founders, Ishmael Reed, Floyd, the late Floyd Salas, Claire Ortalda, and Reginald Lockett for PEN Oakland, with its support for writers and thinkers who were often overlooked or misunderstood. And then Reginald C. Martin, for whom my award is named, and Jack Foley for seeing my work so clearly, and who, in my opinion, should be Poet Laureate of the Bay Area, if not all of California. And Jack, I never actually realized this was literary criticism. It's like, oh, now I get it. Thank you very much for giving me a category. Julie Enzer of Sinister Wisdom Press reached out and enticed me to write a book for her. And, you know, it got longer and longer and more complicated, and she was okay with that. And then she co-published it with Stephen Motika's Nightboat Press in New York City. And I want to also thank John Gardner and John Meyer for their heavily annotated and useful interpretation and translation of the Epic of Gilgamesh that enabled me to dive in and make my own interpretations about that. And my old friend Betty DeShong-Metter, who brought me ancient Mesopotamian poets to love. She brought them into my life back in 1985, especially with her own marvelous rendering of the long poems of the high priestess Enheduanna, high priestess at the city of Ur. And then in her own book, Inanna, Lady of Largest Heart, for putting it in my head as we talked about all this for years, the idea that Enheduanna's story of exile and suffering just might be similar to the biblical book of Job. So I just jumped in and made the comparison, which I think fits like a glove. Don't know what others think, but a group of us who have taught Enheduanna's work for 20 plus years celebrate her birthday every year. We make her a cake and sing happy birthday and do other rituals. And she is now 4,307 years old. Currently, right now, she's featured in a grand exhibit at the Morgan Museum in New York City as the world's earliest known and named writer, a woman and poet. And I hope they move past arguing about whether, in fact, she actually wrote the work, because we've been teaching the depth of her wisdom for a very long time, and there's so much more to know. The exhibit features some Sumerian metallurgical skill in gorgeous jewelry and the tiny clay tablets on which the poets pressed their precious words and stories that would be carried down through the centuries and millennia, retranslated, reinterpreted, yet retaining the vitality and wisdom of the originals. We can know this because thanks to archaeologists and Sumerologists and those translators, we have the original text now for comparison. So it's as if we can go back and pick up a stitch from the very beginning of what constitutes literacy for our world. In having an opportunity to work with the words of such ancient poets who were describing their most written about and most paradoxical deity, Inanna, goddess of life and love, loss and gain, work and war, sacred marriage, and third genders. I don't know whether to be humbled or proud, ecstatic or full of grateful tears. To me, the ancient poets represent literacy itself, the sheer longevity of poetry, and the ancestral shoulders on which we stand as we cherish and practice literature. Thank you, PEN Oakland, so much for bestowing your blessing on my efforts to further understand them.
Thank you for those kind words. And next will be the Anti-Censorship Award, Gary Webb Anti-Censorship Award, that will be presented to Jefferson Morley, and Ishmael Reeve will introduce him.
Well, I want to thank Tennessee, who's a great daughter, and who's held down the fort here at PEN Oakland. We are a working class organization. Unlike the literary organizations in the East, we don't have any inside traders sponsoring us. We're not like the National Book Awards, one of whose directors is Ralph Lauren. I thought he made clothes. We don't have yacht parties where a millionaire can have a right to sit at his table for dinner. So we struggle along like that. Let me tell you one thing that happened here. We're under the sponsorship now of PEN New York. And they said they required that we put their logo, the New York logo, on our PEN stationery. And I told them that's like the Romans, telling all the people in the provinces that they had to fly the Roman eagles. So they backed off of that. But Robert Mailer Anderson in Tennessee negotiated a very nice peace. Matter of fact, Tennessee said, well, why can't one of us be on the board? They said, well, you have to have money. I mean, at least you have to have money to get on the board. What are you, crazy? And I want to thank Lucille for these beautifully designed calligraphy on the awards. So you're going to get a beautiful award, and that'll really, they're really classy, and you can put them up on the wall. Okay. Now the media has been hyping a second Civil War. I'm going to repeat the joke I told before. It was supposed to start on the Tuesday of the last election. Maybe the Civil War didn't begin because somebody told the combatants that their side lost the last one. Of course, if you saw Ken Burns' Civil Wars, you think they won. Ken Burns' Civil Wars was narrated by Shelby Foote, who said there was a disagreement over the cause of the war. I thought it was slavery. All the states that seceded said it was slavery, but then I said, oh, Shelby Foote. Shelby Foote likened the Klan to the French resistance. So I said, oh, now I understand where it's coming from. With the murder of JFK, the MAGA already got their second Civil War. He was stalked from the inside by a racist Secret Service that vowed never to take a bullet for a nigger lover. They got so drunk the night before the assassination that one of them lost his credentials. Do you remember when the people rushed up the grass and the older guy said, I'm a Secret Service here. He was stalked by right-wing Cubans who tried to kill him in Chicago. He was stalked by segregationists who saw him as a race traitor. He was shot down like a dog in the streets. And enemies like General Curtis LeMay, a madman, and the model for Dr. Strangelove, were allowed to gloat at a carnival-like atmosphere at his autopsy. I learned about that the first time. You got to watch this series on Netflix, JFK. I don't think it's streaming now. But Jefferson Morley and David Talbot present evidence that we never heard before. That they had a carnival-like atmosphere at the autopsy. The Reagans, according to Kitty Kelly, celebrated his assassination. They had the right to, because the assassination of JFK and his brother led to Nixon, Reagan, the Bushes, and Trump. So they already obtained their second Civil War. While the governor of Virginia won the election by dumping on Toni Morrison's novel, Beloved, I doubt whether he read it, incidentally. Another inside trader, member of the Carlyle Group. Before he went to Dallas, JFK instructed people to invite Black writers to the White House. He signed his death warrant when he said that he wanted to break up the CIA and scatter it into 1,000 pieces. So here comes Jefferson Morley, a Washington author and veteran journalist whose novelistic nonfiction books explore untold chapters in the history of the American nation. A skilled investigative reporter, Morley combines the granular detail with storytelling verve to capture unknown realities of subjects as disparate as the Central Intelligence Agency and America's legacy of racial violence. Morley's newest book, The Ghost, The Secret Life of CIA Spy Master James Jesus Engelson, tells the story of a paranoid genius who is perhaps the most powerful unelected official in the United States government. At the height of the Cold War, Engelson's secret influence extended from Moscow to London to Jerusalem to the Vatican to the White House. If there's a deep state in American life, as some contend, Engelson was one of its founding fathers. Now, 60 years later, we don't know what happened. They got that magic bullet that's supposed to be like the flying with lenses, like the acrobats. It's just, you know what I mean? They think we're gullible enough to believe this. They don't want us, they want us to forget about it. But as long as Jefferson Morley and David Talbot are around, it won't be forgotten. No telling what sacrifices they made to keep pressing the issue, putting themselves in danger like Gary Webb. You remember Gary Webb? Wrote The Dark Alliance about Reagan and his so-called anti-communists, that clique in the White House, sacrificing Black neighborhoods so they can achieve the foreign policy goals of the Contras. Dumped all that crack in our neighborhoods. I saw this happen right across the street. We had 2 crack houses on the street. It's going to take generations to recover from this. Dumping crack into the neighborhoods, went out to the suburbs. I guess you call that collateral damage. You know that white people are taking so much dope that for the first time, the white longevity rate is lower than that of Blacks. If you read that, they hid that. So Gary Webb gave his life to expose what they were doing. And 6 months later, the CIA said, yeah, maybe we didn't know about it. And Senator Kerry said that 3 agencies, DEA and State Department, they all knew about it. So the late Gary Webb showed up. You remember, Floyd? Gary Webb showed up to receive his award. And now we have Jefferson Morley as a hero. Now you go up against this man's government, you know what happened to all the people going up, they don't want this story to be told because it would shake up the country if the real story of that assassination is told. So here we are, it's ironic. I see Gary Webb looking down from heaven, muckraking heaven, investigative reporting heaven, as Jefferson Morley receives the award named after him. Jefferson Morley.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ishmael. Greetings to everybody in the PEN Oakland community and everybody who's watching via the Oakland Public Library. I'm coming to you from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. I sit here less than 3 miles from the White House and more than 3,000 miles from all of you. I feel a little bit like they used to say about poor Mexico, so far from God, so close to the United States. Greetings to my fellow honorees, to be mentioned in the same breath as a poet like Talib Kweli and an artist like Alison Bechdel is an honor itself. Greetings especially to Ishmael, who I first met 30 years ago while I was working as an editor at the Washington Post. To me, he will always be the wardrobe master of paradise. I do want to talk about Gary Webb, for whom the honor I am receiving is named. Gary was the San Jose Mercury News reporter whose Dark Alliance series dared to connect the crack cocaine epidemic of the 1980s with the machinations of the Central Intelligence Agency. When Webb's incisive reporting was attacked by my colleagues at the Washington Post, I got in touch with Ishmael, and he responded with a piece, "The word on the vine, ghetto paranoia about a drug conspiracy may have a basis in fact," which I was glad to publish in the Washington Post in 1996. 2 years later, Webb's reporting and Ishmael's column were vindicated by the CIA itself. In 1998, CIA Inspector General Fred Hitz issued a report stating that the CIA had done business with no less than 7 different drug trafficking organizations that imported thousands of kilos of cocaine into the United States in the mid-1980s while receiving CIA support. The fact that the CIA materially contributed to the crack cocaine epidemic, Gary Webb's central finding, was effectively confirmed by the agency itself. Yet Webb was scorned and marginalized for his original reporting on a hugely important story. His entirely valid findings were effectively censored from American political discourse. I know the feeling. Like Webb's reporting on the CIA and drug trafficking, my journalism on the JFK assassination story has not endeared me to mainstream news organizations. No one ever got ahead in Washington by jerking the CIA's chain about November 22nd, and I was no exception. My approach, incidentally, was not conspiratorial nor even particularly radical. It was journalistic, guided by the simple question, what do we know now that we didn't know then? I looked at all JFK theories skeptically and found most were quite implausible, including the government's theory that one man alone killed the president for no reason. In the Washington Post newsroom, this measured conclusion was considered heretical. No one wanted to recognize my reporting. But in this room, in this Zoom space, I find recognition. PEN Oakland is not a community alienated from truth nor beholden to power, which I welcome. So to receive recognition from PEN Oakland is not only heartening, it is healthy. It keeps me sane to know that literary people believe me, especially as a previous speaker said, people with a high level of craft. I aspire to that, even if I don't always achieve it. This honor will keep me going in my JFK journalism, so thank you. Indeed, I will be reporting on new and important developments in the story of JFK's assassination this week. You can keep up with these developments on my Substack newsletter, JFK Facts, which is found at jfkfacts.substack.com. Thank you, PEN Oakland. Thank you, Ishmael. And thank you to all of you who are listening. I wish I was there in person to meet you all. I hope the age of Zoom ends soon and we can meet in person again someday. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that I lived through that whole era because I was 10 years old. And it's interesting, a lot of people forgot all about it. So when they talk about crime and black on black crime, they don't think about that whole ordeal, the 80s.
Yeah.
And is Nellie Wong here? Has she arrived?
Can we please do Nellie after? Thank you.
Okay, so there will be 2 Reginald Lockett Lifetime Achievement Awards. And there's been a change of plan because Nellie Wong hasn't arrived yet. So we'll do Bruce Anderson first, and Robert Mailer Anderson will introduce him by video. And Bruce Anderson is accepting the award by video as well.
All right. Wish me luck this time. Give me a holler if you don't hear anything.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I did that out of order. Here we are.
My name is Robert Mailer Anderson, and it is my pleasure to give a 2022 PEN Oakland Lifetime Achievement Award to my uncle Bruce Anderson, editor and publisher of the Anderson Valley Advertiser. Aside from his numerous legendary escapades during his 38-year reign as editor and publisher of the mighty AVA, from righteously doing jail time for protecting his journalistic sources during reportage of the infamous Bear Lincoln murder trial, a case regarding a shootout between 2 Native Americans and 2 white policemen in Covelo, leaving a man dead on both sides after the gunfight, with blame falling squarely on the surviving Native, who was later acquitted, to Bruce serving a reduced sentence for disturbing the peace after punching out the superintendent of schools at a school board meeting, calling for him a third-rate McCarthyite. Nothing Bruce has ever done is third-rate. To years later calling the County Office of Education to tell them he was on his way over the hill to make a citizen's arrest on all you thieving bastards. To which the board immediately responded by locking the front door and going home. Bruce has always loved his battles with the schools in Mendocino County, admitting that it was because he was able to inspire the most outrage for the least emotional outlay on my part. To printing a parody without identifying it as such in the form of a long interview with California Congressman Bosco, whose wholly fabricated responses were just what he would have said if he had been remotely honest, and the long mysterious saga of Wanda Tanaski, a consistent letter to the editor-writer to the AVA, thought for years to have been penned by the reclusive Thomas Pynchon while living in Mendocino County and working on his novel Vineland. The reason that the mystery took so long to unravel was a talent like Pynchon's was easily buried amidst the high level of writing in the AVA and the letters to the editor's column. High praise indeed. And why Bruce has had a major influence on politics and the people of Mendocino County and beyond, including being an inspiration and mentor for me in my own maturation as a writer, editor, and muckraker. According to all accounts, including my mother's, his mother's, my grandmother, so I can personally vouch for this, Bruce was a shit disturber from birth. His course for explosive conflict may have been set early on given his presence in Honolulu, his place of birth, for the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And also as a reporter and storyteller too, as accounts of him being taken for a family Sunday drive that fatal day by his father often include being strafed by the rising sun and bombs exploding bridges after they were narrowly crossed. Could be. As I learned later as a cub reporter for the AVA, if anyone asks you something you wrote, if something you wrote really happened, your response should be, well, that's the way I'm telling it. So Bruce and my family eluded submarines as they shipped across the Pacific and ashore in San Francisco as refugees to live in Corte Madera, where he grew into a juvenile delinquent, avid reader, and sports star who played college and semi-pro baseball and was an ace pitcher, a hard-throwing strikeout specialist with, surprise, surprise, control issues. He once threw every pitch of a 13-inning shutout for Tamalpais High, and no thought of giving up the ball. He was tireless, relentless, going to finish what he started and win. And another nod towards future conflicts on and off the field, and possibly his style as a writer and editor, hurling for Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, Bruce once started a team brawl from the mound against USC when he wound up and intentionally beamed a player. Not the hitter facing him in the batter's box, but a bench jockey ragging him from the inside of the USC dugout. Early in life, to elude charges of alleged car theft, he was given the choice of going to jail or joining the Marines. Luckily, his stint in the Corps came in between Korea and Vietnam. Bruce likes to note that though he never knew him, another radical was going through the same brutalities of basic training at Camp Pendleton as him, Lee Harvey Oswald. After the Marines and college, eventually graduating from San Francisco State, he joined the Peace Corps and went to Malaysia. During these days of the Cold War domino theory in Southeast Asia, Bruce met and married his wife, my Aunt Ling, and had their first child, one of 3, while he coached basketball and built bridges and became a communist. As ideology eventually clashed, local authorities gave him 24 hours to leave the country if he wanted to keep his life. Apparently, the native members of his basketball team were given no choice, rounded up and killed. Within the deadline, Bruce skedaddled back to San Francisco, where he lived with his expanding family in a tenement building in Chinatown near the evolving beat scene and escalating activism of the 60s. In 1965, his brother Rob was sentenced to 2 years for resisting the draft for Vietnam, and according to the judge, straight rebellion against the United States. His cousin Jim would follow him to Lompoc for the same crime and sentence. Meanwhile, Bruce's other brother, Ken, was getting a frontline eyeful of Jim Crow and the civil rights movement in Waycross, Georgia, where he had started a family himself and was playing single-A baseball for the Braves. When all the brothers came home to the Bay Area, they fully embraced the radicalism of the anti-war movement, free speech, Black Panthers, Brown Power, labor, calling to mind Marlon Brando's famous line in The Wild One when asked, "What are you rebelling against, Johnny? What do you got?" Bruce found himself also taking in a foster child and driving a cab in San Francisco. And as the 60s turned more drug-wild and violent, with assassinations, riots, Weathermen, Zebra murders, Manson murders, soon Altamont, the last straw for him may have been the Zodiac's last murder victim, a cabbie Bruce knew killed in sedate Pack Heights. Enough was a muff, and of course never enough. So Bruce headed with his family 100 miles north to the outpost of Boonville. And amidst nature and the bucolic surroundings of Mendocino County, quixotically started a group home for juvenile delinquents, which he named Fern Hill, after Dylan Thomas's Ode to Childhood. He thought he would oversee rehabilitation and the radicalization of wayward reuse that would create the strong minds and strong bodies for tomorrow's revolution. The result might have been better described as a far-flung, rural, sporadic crime wave sponsored by the state. Or to choose a Malaysian word, a melee, things running amok. One of the counselors was murdered by a ward of the court. That first foster child, David Mason, evolved into a serial killer, eventually put to death at San Quentin. Others perpetuated outsized amounts of crime activity and inappropriate social behavior, offering graduating into the prison system for short periods or life in the installment plan, though some did also move on to fuller, better lives. But those formative days are best left described by Bruce himself in the countless columns and retrospectives written and published in the pages of the Anderson Valley Advertiser, some of which are also compiled and re-edited into 3 books published by him: The Mendocino Papers, Mendocino Noir, and Behind the Green Curtain. So, Bruce discovers the Anderson Valley Advertiser, a quiet, small-town weekly of no great consequence, until Bruce takes the helm as editor and publisher in 1984. His master plan? Take 20 grand chiseled out of credit cards and go all out with a newspaper that would, of course, lose all its advertising immediately, but would at least be a paper I could read without cringing. With quotes in the masthead from the IWW's Little Red Songbook fanning the flames of his discontent, Lennon's Be as Radical as Reality, and Joseph Pulitzer, A Newspaper Has No Friend, 52 times every year for the next 38 years, pausing only for a short move and short-lived publication in Oregon, Bruce grinded out roughly 1,800 issues and gave birth to what some call the best small-town news weekly in the United States. Certainly not by the local bureaucrats and powers that be in Mendocino County, but lauded in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, LA Times, 60 Minutes, Newsweek, inmates at San Quentin and other prisons and jails across America, along with some locals, including down at the lodge in Boonville before it burned down, although admittingly equally cursed by patrons there as well. But despite readers, subscribers, or advertisers' opinion, as publisher and editor of the AVA, Bruce has tirelessly fought against corporate corruption and the capitalist exploitation of the Anderson Valley, Mendocino County, and its working class and underclass residents. And on behalf of journalism itself, giving voice to a multitude of opinions and often unpopular thought, ranging from esteemed writers like Alexander Coburn, Warren Hinkle, Fred Gardner, Mike Royko, Earth First Judy Berry, John Ross, Jonah Raskin, Jeffrey St. Clair, David Yearsley, Lawrence Livermore, who also started Lookout Records and discovered Green Day, De La Heptine, who Bruce noted for pure impact, is a wonderful writer, Frank Bardacchi, who also translated much of Subcomandante Marcos's Zapatista writings in the special editions of the AVA, along with poets such as Jack Hirschman, Lawrence Ferlinghetti, whose City Lights bookstore at controversial times was the only outlet for the AVA in the entire Bay Area. Mendo poets Mary Corte and Linda Knoll, great cartoonists like Mary Miles, and for reasons I can never understand, Dr. Dew. R. Crumb once lobbed a contribution to a Company of Friends article because that's the sort of forum the AVA is, with superb court reporting from Bruce McEwen, and for the last couple decades, editor-writer Mark the Major Scaramella. But within its pages, an inordinate amount of first-time penners found at byline, myself included at age 15. but also locals and politicos writing resonant letters to the editor, and even Albanian pamphleteers. And some of you know what I'm talking about. Outraged loggers, public school teachers, airing otherwise silent grievances, irate business owners, unseen ag workers, retirees, hippies, dropouts, dope growers, and incarcerated souls doing hard time in our nation's dungeons. And over the years, maybe most importantly, we've been privy to Bruce's take on everything, past, present, and future. His evolving worldview, those still-born takes on modern art and architecture, from his editor's desk column and all the here and there in Mendocino County and AVA News Service pieces, week after week for decades. Like it or not. And of course, a lot of people don't like it. People who have tried to shut him up, threaten him, sue him, knock him down, drive him off the road, jail him, fire guns in his directions. But when people complain, I always tell them, you'll have to get in line. That long, long line that starts with everyone in my family and moves on from there. Once during the rising conflict of the Redwood summer, I answered the door and an angry man holding a shotgun greeted me. And I quickly stepped aside and yelled, "Hey Bruce, it's for you." But let us remember all the writers, reporters, contributors, and staff of the AVA that Bruce has employed and their formidable output, culminating in the years of reportage and decimation of important public information that would otherwise be invisible. How many years of Charmian and printing menus of what's for dinner at the senior center, marriages and obituaries, annual fair accounts, high school sports scores and results from bullshit softball games, election coverages, and those MCOE meetings. I almost fell asleep just thinking about covering them. In my family, it's like taking out the garbage. I had to cover the meetings after Bruce went to jail for punching out Jim Spence. His second fight at a school board meeting, by the way. Earlier in his arrival to Mendoland, he was sucker punched by a redneck at a school board meeting, and then, like the former Marine that he is, took the blow and mounted his own counterattack. But my father also oversaw that beat, along with my Uncle Rob, cousin Zach, and other family members, contributed on occasion. One reader asked, how many Anderson snakes are curled up in that fish rat nest? Anyway, the AVA has done hundreds of music, movie, book, restaurant, and cultural reviews, long-form interviews with our neighbors that will stand the test of time as pieces of our personal collective history in the Valley and Mendocino County. Fiction, thank you very much again, Bruce, for believing in my own work, for publishing the first chapter of my novel, Boonville, teaching me how to paste up, look for typos, edit, write with purpose and voice, introducing me to Joseph Mitchell, AJ Libri, Joe Didion, cartoons, comic strip, endless quotes in the margins that cause pause for deep reflection or slight smile, and generally creating a high level of conversation and political dialogue where none would otherwise exist, fostering a more vibrant, engaged community full of humanity and humor, insight, and a brawling, no holds barred, no punches pulled, journalistic chin music, thrown intentionally high and tight to wake you up or knock you on your ass. Year after year, Bruce and his AVA have overtly, creatively, and mischievously stirred up shit. And he has stood up and by every issue in broad daylight to the criticism, threats, punches, lawsuits, gunfire, jail, and KZYX be damned. If Jack London, George Orwell, H.L. Mencken, Ring Lardner, and Mark Twain had a bastard child, don't be surprised if someone yelled, "Hey Bruce, you asshole!" and he turned around grinning ear to ear. In that great spirit, it's my pleasure to present to you, Bruce Anderson, the 2022 PEN Oakland Lifetime Achievement Award.
First, I'm very grateful for the Reginald Lockett Award, Achievement Award, Lifetime, and I doubt if my achievement matches his, but I'll certainly take it. I'd also like to acknowledge the 5 other people it takes to roll this particular rock up the hill each week, and how much longer I can roll the rock up the hill, I'm not sure. The wreckage you see before you is in its 83rd year, so we'll see what we shall see. When I moved to Boonville in 1970, the technology, the print technology, the newspaper technology was all under one roof. An eccentric old woman hand-plucked each letter for each word for each edition of the paper, and it was printed on an ancient linotype hot lead press right there on the main street of Boonville. The eccentric old lady, by the way, had been trained in the early years of print journalism as a hand compositor, and her skill was simply a marvel to witness as she, without looking, plucked each letter of each word from an overhead letter case. She had come to Boonville, incidentally, as lots of people come to Mendocino County with an interesting history. She'd been confined to a mental institution because she had a proclivity to remove her clothing and run down the main street of her town, which wouldn't have raised an eyebrow in 1970 Boonville. But anyway, she was very skilled at her job. Since the technology, now in the hands of mysterious cyber wizards, requires many more people each week to assemble a newspaper, which in my megalomaniacal opinion rivals in pure interest value any random edition of the New York Times, in that it more accurately reflects the life in America at this time, much better than our city cousins do with their daily New York Times. Thank you again for this terrific and unexpected award, which I will treasure and certainly share with my colleagues, and hope that we can keep on marching here for another few years. Thank you.
So
Oh,
we're
sorry.
now at,
Sorry, I missed those notes in the chat.
okay. So now we are into our last award for the day. And it's the second Reginald Lockett Lifetime Achievement Award, who's going to Nellie Wong, and Ma Shen Win will introduce her. And somebody put themselves on mute because we're getting feedback, please.
Thank you, Tennessee. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. It is truly a joy to honor Nellie Wong with the 2022 PEN Oakland Reginald Lockett Lifetime Achievement Award. Poet, performer, educator, and activist, Nellie Wong has lived a life of inspired engagement with the world. In her creative and community work, Nellie has continued to be an inspiration for her commitment to social justice and poetic truth-telling. Oakland Chinatown-born Nellie Wong has authored 4 books of poetry: Dreams in Harrison Railroad Park, 1977, The Death of Long Steam Lady, 1986, Stolen Moments, 1997, and Breakfast, Lunch, Dinner, 2012. She has published many poems and essays in literary journals and anthologies, including Haight Ashbury Literary Journal, Outlaw Poetry, Cheers to Muses, Contact 2, Bridge Asian American Perspectives, Meridians, Patterson Literary Review, and This Bridge Called My Back, Writings by Radical Women of Color, among others. Her work has been translated into Spanish, Chinese, French, and Italian. She has taught poetry writing at Mills College and Women's Studies at the University of Minnesota. The Nellie Wong papers are archived at the California Ethnic and Multicultural Archives at UC Santa Barbara. And Nellie's long been active with Radical Women and the Freedom Socialist Party. She co-founded Unbound Feet, an Asian American feminist writing performance collective, and found activism with Women Writers Union at San Francisco State. Most recently, she has performed with the Last Hoisin Poets with Jenny Lim and Flo Oi Wong. She loves jazz, cinema, and food, not necessarily in that order. When she grows up, she'll be a martial artist to keep up with her young relatives. It is truly a pleasure to present the 2022 Reginald Lockett Lifetime Achievement Award to Nellie Wong. Congratulations, Nellie. Oh, Nellie, you're muted.
Got it. Okay. Am I on? Can you hear me? Good. Thank you so much, Mal, for that introduction. And thank you to PEN Oakland for giving me this wonderful gift after I turned 88. It's unbelievable, but I know that the time is short and we're about to end, but I'm glad to be here, and I'm here with you from Seattle, Washington, where I'm attending a convention of the Free and Socialist Party. And I would like to share with you a poem that I wrote recently to pay tribute to the people that I've read, my fellow writers and poets and such. And I thought this would be the kind of piece I wanted to share with you, the whole audience that is watching, and to all my fellow celebrants of the different awards given by PEN Oakland for 2022. Angels of Earth. Angels of earth and agate, silver splinters battling earth, gliding and swooping, skimming the seas when Chinese warriors Ju Jin and Dingling. Their wings dive and wash, dine with Oakland Dotson and Tillioson American. Effervescence of words dotting breastplates, dotting their bodies in finery of hungry ghosts of concubines and blacksmiths who galvanize streams and river, haw flakes, red and glistening in their mouths, teeth for justice against planned killings of children, women and men, lovers and enemies, moving horsehair and boar brushes, pens, ink, twigs, fingertips over plains and mountains with Audre Lorde and Mahmoud Darwish, pueblos and zocolos, hamlets and forests, groves of olive trees, questions and answer solutions for migrations of radical change. What say the dead, Yanis Rizos, Kim Chi Ha, never surrendering, Nawal El Sadawi and Pat Parker and Karen Brodeen, together and apart, and atoms and multiverse, fireworks, underwater dragons, pterodactyls, our human realm. What say the vindicated, the erased, the silenced champions, buskers, cartographers, when Margaret Walker wrote Jubilee, when Gloria Anzaldúa, Al Robles, xylophone, language and deed, when Clara Fraser met Marx Amatova. Yes to angels, when Suisun Far, Baldwin, Bulasan, Okada, Yamamoto awaken and sing. Thank you.
Yes, before we end the ceremony, we got to receive a request to try Bruce Anderson's video where we can see him this time, and then we can conclude.
First, I'm very grateful for the Reginald Lockett Award, Achievement Award, Lifetime. And I doubt if my achievement matches his, but I'll certainly take it. I'd also like to acknowledge the 5 other people it takes to roll this particular rock up the hill each week. And how much longer I can roll the rock up the hill, I'm not sure. The wreckage you see before you is in its 83rd year, so we'll see what we shall see. When I moved to Boonville in 1970, the technology, the print technology, the newspaper technology was all under one roof. An eccentric old woman hand-plucked each letter for each word for each edition of the paper, and it was printed on an ancient linotype hot lead press right there on the main street of Boonville. The eccentric old lady, by the way, had been trained in the early years of print journalism as a hand compositor, and her skill was simply a marvel to witness as she, without looking, plucked each letter of each word from an overhead letter case. She had come to Boonville, incidentally, as lots of people come to Mendocino County with an interesting history. She'd been confined to a mental institution because she had a proclivity to remove her clothing and run down the main street of her town, which wouldn't have raised an eyebrow in 1970 Boonville. But anyway, she was very skilled at her job. Since the technology, now in the hands of mysterious cyber wizards, requires many more people each week to assemble a newspaper, which in my megalomaniacal opinion rivals in pure interest value any random edition of the New York Times, in that it more accurately reflects the life in America at this time, much better than our city cousins do with their daily New York Times. Thank you again for this terrific and unexpected award, which I will treasure and certainly share with my colleagues, and hope that we can keep on marching here for another few years. Thank you.
So this concludes the 33rd Annual PEN Oakland Awards. Congratulations and thank you to the winners who were able to attend, and congratulations to those who weren't able to attend. The ceremony has been recorded on Zoom and will be available to watch on the library YouTube page and on Facebook.
Thank you, Tennessee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. We hope
Thank
to
you.
see you at the library sometime soon. And we want, on behalf of Oakland Public Library, I'd like to thank you for your patience with our technical mishaps today, but also to share our hearty congratulations to all honored today.
Thank you
I'm
very
just
much.
so grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So many
Thank you.
wonderful writers whom I deeply love. And I can't name one without naming all of them. So, and thank you, yeah. And thank you, Adele, wherever you are. I know you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Tim.
you, Oakland Public Library.
Thank
Yay!
And the Oakland Public Library as well.
Libraries.
Yes.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you.